Hello, my beautiful buds. My name is Joy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And well, today I wanted to just give you a little bit of a propagations tour, just kind of showing you all the things that are in my prop boxes and that I'm water propagating right now. Some things are gonna be great and fun. Some things are gonna be kind of disappointing and crushing. Maybe not crushing, that might be a little bit over dramatic, but well, I did want to start out by telling you a bit about my week, my Thanksgiving week. It was something. So first of all, in general, it was just an incredibly busy week from a work standpoint for me because it's the holidays and I'm a graphic designer. There were a lot of projects to get done. And then aside from that, well, our heater ended up not working. And because it was Thanksgiving, getting someone out to fix it was not happening. So for several days there, we were very cold. And of course the humans in our home could bundle up, but alas, I was very concerned for my plants. And a lot of my plants were not happy with the sudden temperature drop. And of course it was snowing and just generally this week has been cold. It's been in like the 20s at night, 30s-ish. So our house got down to 50s or so. Yeah. Not great. Yeah, let's just say it was a stressful week on that front. And then, Thanksgiving, which was fun. And then I got horribly sick, which actually, that is kind of a Thanksgiving tradition for me. Almost every Thanksgiving I can remember since I was a child, I would get really sick with some sort of stomach bug. I couldn't really get off the couch for like 2 whole days, 2.5 days, something like that. Obviously there were some plants that needed care, some humidifiers that needed refilling, and that didn't happen for those couple of days. And then I got well and work and caring for a child, of course. So with all of those things combined, some of my plants are sad and it's winter and it's very discouraging. So yeah, without further ado, let's just take a look at my propagations. All right, so let's open up one of these big old boxes. Propagating with Spag. This is actually one of the first, I think I made a video when I made this prop box. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. This was the first prop box I really made, but I've thrown in some extra stuff in there along the way. So let's just see what's in here. And hopefully they're not too tangled because I probably should have organized these a lot better, but I'm a busy mom. Okay, so this monstrous marble queen pothos cutting here is clearly very well rooted, I think. Oh yeah, this girl is ready to be potted, I'm sure. She's got lots of secondary roots. This portion of the leaf kind of rotted away, but it was already in rough shape, so that's to be expected. So this was a pretty big cutting that I made rather than individual nodes, just because sometimes I like to do that. I just kind of change the way I do things. So I think I'm gonna pull that one out and pot it up today. Same for the rest of these marble queen cuttings right here. I love watching propagation updates myself just because it's super neat to see the roots that they grow. Okay, let's see if I can disentangle this one successfully. So my mother-in-law, and hopefully she's not watching this, but my mother-in-law wants some marble queen pothos for Christmas, or at least she's expressed some interest in it. So I think I'm gonna pot these guys up into a little pot for her for Christmas as just a fun little supplementary gift. I love giving plants as gifts because then I can share all the planty love. Yeah, this is a little scary. I don't like breaking roots and stuff. Okay, so these roots are incredibly long from this heartleaf philodendron. I don't know if you can see those two little strings right there, but those are both roots and they continue down these clumps here. So let's see if I can fix that. As I mentioned before, the heating went off, so a lot of these propagations for a few days were pretty cold, and I'm hoping, I mean, I know that it did affect some propagations. It's really sad because the propagation that affected was not one that I wanted it to affect, but it's okay. I wasn't incredibly attached, but it is disappointing. So you'll see that soon. But yeah, look at those. This is interesting. These are really long roots, but they have just a few secondary roots, but not a whole lot. I don't know how well you can see that with my iPhone camera, but yeah, so this is just a fun little cutting. Okay, so this was not from my old video that I made. These guys rooted up really, really fast, this Tradescantia Nanook, but, and they've got new growth as well, but the roots are not, they're very, very thin. I've noticed Tradescantia roots are super, super thin. So not surprising that it's very networked, but not very long, but lots of secondary roots there. And I've got another couple of pieces here and here. So I'm excited that all of these guys rooted up. Oh, this one, the roots are a bit more pitiful, so I might leave this one in a little bit longer. We'll see. But my Tradescantia Nanook is pretty bare, which tends to happen with Tradescantia. They get kind of bald, but that's just kind of a pattern. I guess you could say it's Tradescantia pattern baldness. You know, like male pattern baldness.
I think that was legitimately the worst joke that I have ever made in the entirety of my life.
I'm sorry, I'll let myself out. Okay, but yeah, so my Nanook is pretty bald, so I'm just gonna pot that back in with my original plant that I took the cuttings from. And then speaking of Tradescantia, so these guys look a little bit wonky because I think I just broke some roots. Well, that is the risk, but I think he's gonna be okay. He's got lots and lots of roots in there. But anyway, so this is a Tradescantia zebrina, and it looks very wonky because I took it on the plane with me in like a small paper bag. So not surprising, but they're rooted, so I'm not worried, like the plant itself will survive. But I've got lots and lots of these cuttings also in the other prop box, and they're from my mom's backyard in Florida. So it's just kind of a little memento of my childhood home to be up here with me in Ohio. So that's what that is. So you'll see quite a few of those. I think I have a picture of her loads of Tradescantia zebrina, so I'll probably put that up here for you. So yeah, so I've got lots of those in here. I've got a few ivies that, you know, they don't seem to propagate incredibly well, but it's got a few tiny roots. My husband wanted some more because he really likes ivy. I know some people don't care for ivy for various reasons, especially I've noticed in the Midwest because it can be quite rampant outside and not exactly invasive, but yeah, I mean, some people just don't care for it, and that's fine. Oh, wow. Apparently this ivy decided to root quite a lot. So I guess this one they'll just be potted together and we'll see what happens. And then over here, I've got some Monstera adansonii. Oh yeah, that's a pretty big juicy root right there. I have some friends that are interested in adansonii rooted cuttings, so I'm definitely gonna give that to them. This is Pothos Pearls and Jade Pothos. I don't know why I said it that way, but also very well rooted. More ivy. Ooh, right here is a Hoya Crimson Princess. This is the first ever Hoya that I propagated. So I only just recently started kind of getting into Hoya. This one doesn't have a whole lot of variegation in particular, but it has some. So we'll see what happens. This one rooted very quickly, but not like a ton, if that makes sense. Like I checked on it a week after I put it in and it rooted very fast, but then it kind of slowed down. So it just kind of does its thing. Okay, and then we've got some more heartleaf philodendron. Wow, let's see if we can disentangle this moss from these roots. My goodness. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty juicy, so I'll pot that up with the other one. I did throw in a couple of wet sticks. I honestly don't even know which one this is. I probably should have put this separately, but it has a new growth point. No roots yet. I think this was a Syndapsis Pictus argyrius. And then this is the beginning of the sad stories that I wanted to tell you. So this is a Monstera Sultipicana. And maybe like a month ago, I purchased several plants that were sort of on the rare side of the spectrum. Sultipicana, I'd say, is more uncommon. But a lot of the plants from that purchase did not go well, at least so far. We'll see. It could end up being fine, but you'll see some more of these guys. So the Monstera Sultipicana that I got, it was rooted. I had it for about 2 days. I hadn't even watered it yet. Hi there, I am in the middle of editing and I'm realizing that, I had a lot of footage issues while I was recording and a lot of videos just cut out in the middle of recording and not all of them saved. So I'm just gonna kind of re-record a section real fast. So I recently purchased a few like rare or uncommon plants, but the one that I was most excited for, the Philodendron mame, is thriving, doing totally fine. However, I did have a Monstera Sultipicana that, I hadn't even watered it yet, and 2 days after getting it, I started getting some yellowing leaves and drooping, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. I think we have a case of root rot on our hands.
Oh no. This did not happen.
So with that, I took it out of its pot, and sure enough, the roots were mushy and stringy and breaking apart. And I don't blame the seller or anything. I don't think that she could have known because the plant looked really healthy otherwise. But yeah, here's the Monstera Sultipicana now. There are a few other cuttings that were in this bag that I think I showed you already, or I don't know, may have cut off. But I put most of them, like I cut off the roots and then I put it in water. And thankfully it is rooting very readily. I'm pretty sure Sultipicanas propagate very easily. So I am relieved about that, and I think I'll be able to save the plant and it'll be fine. It just is unfortunate and stressful, and it was another source of stress on me these last few weeks because I was really looking forward to having this plant, and it's always just a bummer when things don't go the way that you want them to. But honestly, I'm grateful that she's at least rooting. She's still alive. I'm not too concerned. I think that she'll be just fine. So yeah. Okay, so the sun is setting readily, so I better hurry. But this next box has some similar vibes to the last one. I've got lots of this Tradescantia zebrina in here. I also have a neon pothos that's just kind of a random cutting, so I don't really know exactly what I'm gonna do with that. I just kind of felt like taking it. Pretty healthy, very robust looking roots, obviously covered in spag, but whatever. More Monstera adansonii. Oh my goodness. Look at how thick that little root is right there. That's kind of nuts, but okay. Okay, so here's another, I think I put this in here really recently, so it hasn't rooted quite yet. So I'm gonna have to leave that one in here. Here's another piece of the Sultipicana that sadly I'm gonna take this leaf off because it's not doing anything for the plant. But it has not rooted yet, unfortunately, but maybe I'll switch it to water because honestly, that seems to be doing really well for the other cuttings. I've got so much of this guy. I'm very excited. It's gonna look kind of like a wampus plant, but it'll be a slice of home. So it'll be worth it to have it for sure. And maybe it'll straighten out, I don't know. So here's some of that Pothos Pearls and Jade. Why do I keep saying it that way? It's Pearls and Jade Pothos. That's a pretty looking leaf. Only a small piece of it's variegated. These have itty bitty roots. Now, if you're new to propagating, a good way to know when your propagations are ready is signs of new growth, especially if they are in spag and you can't really see the roots as well. It's really helpful when you just see new leaves popping up, but that means that the roots are pretty well established at that point. But if you do take a peek at the roots, if they've got some secondary roots going and they're a few inches long, like that's a pretty decent sign. And by secondary roots, I mean kind of roots coming off of the main root, if that makes sense. Either that or like one really long and established and maybe beefy root, kind of like this one. You know, that's probably ready, even though it technically doesn't have some secondary roots. And you just kind of have to also know your plant too, because pothos seem to root pretty well in my experience, no matter what the circumstance. But yeah, as you can see, there's a whole new growth point on this guy, so definitely ready. And also, just based on the timing, I've had a lot of these in here for well over a month, so pretty ready in my book. Right here is just a little Micans, and it's so cute. Look at that new growth on it. It's so pretty. This leaf is also just gorgeous right there. So that's a tiny little Micans plant. Another wet stick that's just in here, but it has a new growth point. And another little wet stick. Pretty sure most of the wet sticks in here are just Syndapsis, but if they aren't, I will have a pretty fun surprise. Yeah, they were just buried in here. I should probably put these separate from everything else, honestly, but it is what it is. So that's it for this box. And let's check out. I have a couple more very small boxes and then, you know, singular propagations for you to check out. So right here, I've got a box. I'm not going to unroot any of these because I put them all in here very recently, but in here I've just got a couple of Cebu Blue cuttings, a couple of Syndapsis Pictus Argyrius cuttings, Philodendron Brazil, a Tradescantia albiflora rainbow, and some watermelon peperomia. Now the watermelon peperomia are in there and they're just honestly like they're leaves. So one of them has a petiole still attached and one of them is a leaf cut in half. We'll see how they root in spag. I've mostly seen people do it in soil or water. So I'm kind of trying my luck here, but we had a friend staying over and he accidentally like knocked over the plant or bumped it or something and it lost a few leaves, which sad, but no big deal because thankfully watermelon peperomia are exceedingly easy to propagate from just one fallen leaf. So that's pretty cool. All right, and then this next one right here, I've got my Hoya Hindu rope kind of nestled in along with a couple of random wet sticks. Again, not entirely sure where they are, but I'm assuming just the Syndapsis or Siltopicana, depending on which one. So this guy has taken a very long time to root. Then I think a month of him being in here, but we have just a couple of very small roots beginning. So I hate to disturb them, but I've heard that Hoya Hindu rope can take a long time to root for some reason. That's consistent with my experience so far. It's taken way longer than any of the other Hoya that I've ever tried rooting, which is not very many, but a few. Okay, so this one's fine. This was a bonus plant given to me as part of a purchase that I had over Facebook Marketplace. Oh, and this is Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which it's doing fine. It's got plenty of roots. I can see them on the sides of the cup, but this whole purchase, man. So this plant's doing great. The mame's doing great. You already heard about the Siltepecana. So the Dark Lord cutting. You know, I know that it's always a risk when you purchase a cutting rather than a rooted plant, and I knew that we were going into winter, but I was just too excited to pass it up. It has not yet rotted, but a few things have happened. So, as you can see, it's missing a leaf right here. And also there aren't any roots yet. It's not rotting, although I was concerned about that, but the leaves obviously look pretty droopy because they don't have roots to give it any sustenance. I mixed it, I added just a Mican's cutting, and there's a fungus gnat in the water. Ew. It just kind of made its home in there, even though I changed out the water recently, but whatever. I'm just gonna, ugh. So yeah, so as you can see, it's missing a leaf. So this came to me in moss, but I kind of got anxious about that because it wasn't producing any roots and I couldn't keep a close eye on the node here to make sure it wasn't rotting. I decided to switch it to water so that I could keep a close eye on it. And I've heard too that if you add another plant to the water, something happens with root hormones. I don't know if it's actually a myth or not, but I was desperate, okay? So it's still alive and it may yet root, but yeah, so it lost a leaf because I'm so defeated. Here's the leaf. While I was sick, remember I was sick for a few days, the cat somehow got into the room where this guy was. It was like not even in ready reach, but they targeted the one propagation I cared the most about and just snapped this off somehow. I noticed it after I emerged from that liminal state between death and life and utter misery. I emerged to this leaf being broken off and I was like, cats, I feed you. I give you water. I change your freaking litter box. Why would you target the one plant that I wouldn't want you to target? I'll keep you guys updated on this guy, but overall it's a little bit disappointing so far. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I'm willing to try just about anything. Last thing, I hate to end on such a sad note, but I actually discovered this today just before this video. So I got a global green pothos as part of, you know, that one purchase that I was talking about, and it had a node and a tiny nub of a root, and somewhere over the course of this week, I guess between the stress of inhospitable cold of my home and the time when I was sick and couldn't check on it, it just straight up fully rotted. How great is that? It's fine, I didn't care about you that much anyway. Okay, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes plants just don't really cooperate with what we want them to do. And when you have a lot of propagation to keep track of and a lot of plants that you care about, well, they don't all make it. So I don't really know if I should keep the leaf until it withers and dies off, or if I should just put it out of its misery and throw it out now, or hold a funeral for it, I don't know. Vote in the comments below. I think that might be all for this video. I might pot these up and show you as like a little bonus section. If you happened to like the video, please like it. Subscribe if you want to see more of me. If not, I take no offense. Everyone has their own taste in YouTube or in content, so I'm just happy that you stayed this long. Well, I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye!